Organizations across the board are buying AI models. They are running pilots, launching integrations, and waiting for the promised productivity dividend. For most, that dividend has not arrived on schedule. This delay is explained by the productivity J-curve. Output drops below the baseline before accelerating. This trough represents heavy expenditure on invisible work. Economists call this intangible capital, redesigned processes, data governance, and operational discipline. Productivity arrives only when an organization builds the expensive, invisible workflow infrastructure required to support the tool. This same economic phenomenon applies to how organizations treat AI safety. Right now, safety budgets are typically structured as short-term pilots, a one-off red team exercise, a brief policy sprint, or a governance workshop. These are treated as discretionary costs rather than long-term capital formation. Because organizations demand rapid reassurance to keep deployment schedules on track, safety work that should take years to mature is evaluated on a quarterly basis. Avoiding the safety trough leads to risk blindness. The result is a brittle deployment, prone to agentic failure and public harm. AI safety is an economic category. Ignoring the capital cost of safety during the trough guarantees a brittle, unsafe system. The industry currently operates on a technical misconception, the belief that procuring an aligned model is identical to deploying a safe system. To understand why this distinction matters, we must look at this comparative framework and trace where safety costs live. The first claim is behavioral alignment. This upstream bet involves model training, tuning, and running evaluations inside the vendor's isolated model. This approach fits the vendor sales narrative. It allows the buyer to treat safety as a procurement checklist. Contrast this with architectural safety. Architecture requires verifiable boundaries, runtime monitors, hard permission systems, and owners with authority to block release. Organizations avoid this path because it changes the operating model, slows down velocity, and is expensive to implement. The market rationally chooses the cheaper illusion of behavioral safety. Businesses reap the upside of AI while bypassing the necessary architectural costs. Data from a recent evaluation of 120 models against over 18,000 prompts shows exactly where systems actually break down. Critical failures cluster at the edges of deployment, specifically when tool definitions are used as instructions or during multi-turn reasoning escalations. These vulnerable edges remain undefended because of a broken price signal, the concept of an externality. When a factory can dump waste into a river for free, it underinvests in filtration. Unsafe AI operates on the same logic. When an AI system enables fraud, automates a discriminatory decision, or leaks sensitive data, the financial cost rarely lands on the organization that underfunded the safety architecture. That cost is borne by users and public institutions. Developers underinvest in safety because the market allows them to export their risks onto the public. Even when internal teams discover these risks, structural corporate blockers often prevent them from acting. The first failure mechanism is responsibility without authority. Safety teams find flaws but lack the budget or power to halt launches. Second is risk discovery as a career threat. Without dedicated remediation budgets, surfacing problems creates costs, turning the finder into a liability. Third, compliance substituting for reality. Cheap PDFs replace actual constraints. Finally, diffuse accountability. Risk lands between departments, so no single executive owns the outcome. By paying for fragmented compliance rather than cohesive architecture, the organization protects its budget while ensuring system failure. If inadequate safety is underpriced, the practical solution is to force the market to price it correctly. This requires changing the pricing mechanism. Statutory liability makes safety a balance sheet concern. It punishes failure while offering safe harbor for those with audited architectural controls. Insurance underwriting forces safety to become a cost of capital. Insurers price loss, not philosophy. They will demand rigorous runtime controls to lower premiums. Procurement standards force vendors to compete on evidence. Buyers must demand proof of what a deployed system can and cannot do before signing a contract. Until these external forces push the cost of failure onto the deployer, the market will continue to sell the illusion of safety. The AI productivity trough and the AI safety trough are the same problem viewed from different angles. Escaping the trough requires fully funding the missing capital, remediation budgets, evaluation discipline, and accountable ownership. Building these architectural systems provides the stability required for acceleration. Treating AI safety as a moral aspiration guarantees it will remain underfunded. Safety is an economic requirement. Until it has a real price, AI deployments will remain trapped in the trough.